Hi, this is Grandmaster Reginald Strauss Sr., also known as Brother Teacher. I just wanted to give you sort of an introduction to what Jinen-Do is. Jinen-Do is a Japanese term which means very natural way. Jinin, very natural. Do, of course, is way. Jinen-Do is a name that I gave to my system over 25 years ago. And I have studied Korean martial arts, Japanese martial arts, Chinese martial arts, and then some others. But what I decided to do when I was real young was, young in the martial arts that is, was to incorporate the best out of the arts that I've already studied. Now, let me let you know, if you don't already know this, that it takes a lifetime to learn any one particular so-called style or system of martial arts. So to shorten that time, as it applied and related to me and my personal needs, I decided to take the concepts of each of the arts that I've studied. I've studied Bagua, I've studied some Tai Chi. When I was real young, I studied Korean martial arts, as I forestated, Jiu-Jitsu, Combat Jiu-Jitsu, Shinsai Jiu-Jitsu, and so forth. And Wing Chun, can't leave that out. But what I decided to do is to take the core elements of those systems, what really makes them work, minus the forms, if you will. We do have some kata, if you want to call it kata, or forms in our system. Howbeit, the core interest of the Jinen-Do system focuses more on a human being. It's not just martial arts. It transcends into every aspect of your life. Now, we do that by practicing techniques and martial arts techniques, if you will, to condition the mind and the body, because that's one of the most neglected aspects of us as human beings, is our bodies and our minds even as well. So our techniques are based on what I've already trained in my life in the martial arts. We use the same techniques. There's nothing new under the sun, as the Bible says. So Jinen-Do techniques, there are some things that, because of the application or the methodology, is different than other systems or styles. That's what separates my style or system, if you will, from others, is our methodology. So consequently, that's what separates a lot of the other newer systems, if you will, over the past 30 years from other ones, is just simply the methodology and the forms. But for the most part, we can't reinvent the wheel. A back fist is a back fist, a spear hand is a spear hand, a front kick and a side kick is still a front kick and a side kick, no matter what style or system you claim to be a part of. It's all the same. So what separates us is the methodology. And with that said, I want to say that Jinen-Do is not a style. It is a system. It is a system comprised of the fine key points in the systems or styles that I have studied. For example, in the Wing Chun system, we focus greatly on protecting the center line theory, if you will. We focus on keeping our hands in our center to protect our center as we're engaging an opponent. Number two, the jiu-jitsu aspect of our system, that is intact. I am a firm believer of ukemi, or falling training. You have to learn how to fall, because it is one of those lost arts. It is an art by itself. Ukemi is an art by itself. So you must know that I teach all of my students how to fall, break falls, if you will. And it has kicks, of course, front, side, round kick, and so on. But as opposed to when I was coming up in my real young years in the martial arts, we did a lot of head kicks and so forth. That's good aesthetically. It looks good on the outside. It looks good in competition, even in movies and demonstrations and so forth. But it's not practical for the street. So I teach my students to focus from the waist down on kicks, to keep your composure and balance if you're in the street and you have to kick. So it's only sensible. It's only commonsensical, if you will. basic understanding. You don't want to raise your leg up to your head height or above your head height, and you're wearing shoes in the street, and you could potentially fall and become a victim to your opponent. So we want to limit those things. And the other thing is directness. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. In Jinen-Do, that's true. It's also directness. Whatever is direct, wherever my hand happens to be is where I attack from. Here, I don't believe too much in chambering as they do in street fights and even in boxing. You draw your hand back and you punch. We punch right from where we are. So if my hand is here, I go right from there. And some people don't want to believe that you can generate power, but that's because they're not from that particular training method. So in the Western way of thinking, oftentimes, we're always thinking that if you draw back, you're going to generate all of this power. But that's a telegraphical movement as well. Your opponent sees you drawing your hand back, and your reaction time is going to not be what it should be, because he sees you getting ready to attack, as opposed to 1, 1, 2. It makes sense? I hope so. But anyway, I just wanted to give you all an overview, and this is a short overview of what Jinen-Do actually is. And I would be remiss if I leave out this part. Jinen-Do is based on the individual. I don't care if you're overweight, underweight, short, tall, indifferent, missing an arm. You can still learn Jinen-Do, because don't forget what it means. Jinen-Do means very natural. So if you have an inability or a shortcoming or a weakness, we try to work on that. Okay, we try to make whatever your strong points that exist with you at the present stronger. And let that right hand, if you don't have a left hand, replace your left hand. Look at Bill Superfoot Wallace. He's a good friend of mine. He had taken that left leg after a judo injury many, many years ago, and he made that left leg replace his right leg. So that left leg has always been his bread and butter. And it became both legs super fast. Bill Superfoot Wallace. So don't say what you can't do. So whatever your shortcoming is, we work on that. I don't turn students away unless it is impossible, absolutely impossible to teach you. And I haven't ran across a student like that yet. Now, ADD, ADHD, and what have you, I've had students who had those issues to attention deficit disorder and what have you. Everyone can learn, but they learn at their own pace. Very natural to them. So some people might not be good at kicking when they come to me. We'll work on their arm techniques or their hand techniques. Some people might not have the ability to punch and grapple. We'll work on the kicking techniques. We'll work on pressure points. We will work on whatever it takes to make you a better you. That is Jinen-Do in a nutshell. So Bruce Lee was my inspiration. If it were not for him, I wouldn't be here. Because that was the catalyst or the impetus that set me into motion as a martial artist. And being the martial artist that I am today is Bruce Lee, the late great Bruce Lee. A lot of people fight with me, and they send out a lot of negative comments to me about statements that I have made that no one has ever beat Bruce Lee. Individuals who have claimed to have beaten Bruce Lee and so forth. But, everyone is entitled to their viewpoint. And based on what I know about Bruce Lee, because I've studied him ever since I was a child. And it doesn't take a lifetime to know someone. And if you look at how expansive his library of books on martial arts were at the time, and if you look at his physique, his musculature, not too many people could compare to that. And if you look at his dynamic speed, and if you look at how he transferred his martial arts skills onto celluloid at the time, film, a very heck of a man as it relates to martial arts. He was truly beyond his time. And you have a lot of traditionalists at that time and even presently who still talk down about Bruce Lee and say he was an actor only. I tend to disagree. I've disagreed for years. I disagree now, and I'll always disagree, because most of the people who talk about him never really studied him. They had no intentions on studying him because they feel like they lost something during that era. And my feeling and my belief is this, and not to get on a soapbox or anything, but my feeling and my contention is this: if those guys had an issue with Bruce Lee's status at the time, and they were around at the time, why didn't they challenge him then? Why didn't they make it known then? Why is it 40, 50 years after the man has died, all of a sudden here you come saying, oh, I could have beat Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee wasn't that good. He was just an actor. It says a lot about that person or those people, doesn't it? Anyway, everyone is entitled, again, to their opinion or their viewpoint, just as I'm entitled to mine. But I don't give opinions. I give viewpoints based on truth and based on logic. Okay? So if you ask me something, I'll give you a reference to it. I'm not just going to pull it out of the sky and say, oh, this is the truth, just because I said it. Anyway, again, that was the summation of what Jinen-Do is. Jinen-Do by Bruce Lee was the way of the intercepting fist of feet. Jinen-Do literally takes that concept a step further, and it helps to develop the individual who is lacking as well. It takes nothing away from Grandmaster Lee. If anything, it does perpetuate his legacy. This is Grandmaster Reginald Strauss Sr. I hope that this introduction had some quality in it and that it was beneficial to you and it gave you a better insight of who I am and what my purpose is. And I hope to see you on the next video. So long. Be blessed.